My name is Darin Labrenz. I'm a first-time CEO. I'm going to walk you through Pure Gold and Madsen Gold Project, and I think through a very short presentation, show you why we're very excited about this development opportunity. So I'm going to echo some of the themes that Mark raised. Foundation. We have a strong foundation here, and that foundation is built on a project that had, when we acquired it, almost 1 million meters of drilling. There's 24 levels of detailed underground mapping. It has infrastructure in place. There's a 600 ton per day mill. There's a tailings facility, and there's existing permits on hand. But what the project hadn't seen at that time was a systematic understanding or detailed review of that exploration data. So we had this wealth of information there, but no real hard work had been applied to it. So one of the things you'll see as a common theme through this, as Mark said, is that foundation, data-rich projects, and a team of people that are dedicated, passionate, and have the know-how and skills to bring a project forward and understand what the data is telling you. Madsen is one of the select few projects in the world. I truly believe there's a global scarcity of near-term, high-grade, quality gold projects out there. Madsen is one of those. It's tough to really describe what is high-grade. What does that mean? It's a relative term, and it depends on a number of different factors. But one of the things I point to is Natural Resource Holdings used to do an annual ranking of deposits that weren't currently in production. And the last one I recall seeing was about 2014. They had 500 plus projects in a table, and they ranked them in various fashions. By grade, Madsen was ranked 13 out of 500. So that puts it in the top, 2 percentile worldwide by grade. And that provides a lot of opportunities for moving a project forward, for having the potential for high margins. I want to convey here as I walk through the presentation that the project is scalable. While our mill is 600 tons per day, we have an existing permit that talks about 1,089 tons per day, and we're making new discoveries on the ground that can lend itself towards that scalability of the project and increase in longevity or even potentially annual throughput. So this is Red Lake, Ontario. Red Lake is built upon mining. It's got an 85-year history of mining. In fact, my history as a geologist started in the camp. I worked at the Red Lake Gold Mine. I was a beat geologist for Placer Dome at the Campbell Mine at the time. And there are two assets. It's really one deposit, but it's split in the middle by a dividing line. The west side was called Campbell Mine, owned by Placer. The east side was the Dickinson Mine at the time, or the Arthur White Mine, owned by Goldcorp. And it was one of two mines that Goldcorp had. During the period that I was there, I transitioned into chief geologist, and the Dickinson Mine went on strike. At that time, Campbell had produced about 9 million ounces. The Dickinson Mine had produced just under 3 million ounces, so clearly the poorer half. And I was walking around in the morning, as I did, talking to the geologists and talking about the workday and what we were going to do that week. And I walked by one geologist, Ray Swanson, and he had on a screen a ticker symbol, and he was buying Goldcorp. And I said, "What are you doing? They're on strike. This thing is probably never going to go back into production again." And so I went home and I told my wife, "You know what? Ray's buying Goldcorp." And she looked at me and goes, "Yeah, you know what?" She worked at Bearskin Airlines. Every day there's a flight that comes in, a bunch of people are getting off the plane from Quebec, they're getting on the bus, and they're driving through the picket lines. And you know what they were doing is they were diamond drillers, and they were drilling. It was the start of the high-grade zone discovery at that time. So here's a case where you had a mine that was in operation for 1945 to 1997 when this was happening, 52 years, and they were making a discovery in the heart of the mine. That discovery was a high-grade zone. They ended up, well, to date, they produced about 6 million ounces out of there. Now you're looking at 12 million ounces out of the Campbell side. It's about 8 million ounces out of the Dickinson side. And that conveyed a really important lesson to me, and that is the power of data and the power of sitting back, thinking about the geology, and recognizing what opportunities there were. So we've done that at Madsen. Again, 1 million meters of drilling. But what we did is we sat back for 2 years pretty quietly and looked at it and tried to understand what the geology was telling us. And about 2 years ago, we made a bit of a breakthrough. We recognized that the mineralization at Madsen was structurally controlled. And that might sound like a bit of geology mumble-jumble, but it was really very important because it clearly explained the mineralization that we saw underground, and importantly, it identified the opportunities for expansion. So we step forward to today. We've drilled about 150,000 meters in the project over the last 2 years, and we've grown that resource to 2 million ounces, 1.74 million ounces in the indicated category, and 300,000 ounces in the inferred category. This in the heart of Red Lake, Ontario, with a mill, with a tailings facility, and with permits. So just a shot of some of the infrastructure, and the infrastructure goes a long way towards de-risking the project. And as Mark said, mining is a risky business, and everything we do, every step along the way is about de-risking. De-risking the resource. Well, 1 million meters of drilling with an average spacing of 6.5 meters between holes to find that resource. There's a significant amount of drilling that's gone into that resource. Now, moving forward into development and production, having underground access, the ability to go look at the ore, touch it, having a mill on site, having tailings facility on site, all that goes towards de-risking the project for moving it into production. So this is our 3 pillars, if you will, for moving forward. Production will come out of Madsen. We completed a PEA last year, which I'll touch on in a moment, that shows a very robust economic scenario. Expansion, in December last year, we announced the first time disclosure of satellite resources from both the Russet South deposit and the Fork deposit. And exploration's ongoing on the property. We still feel that there's high potential for additional expansion and discovery through exploration. So this is the results of our PEA. We've got a little over 900,000 ounces of production at 10.3 grams per ton. Again, very high grade. The initial capital is 51 million Canadian. Well, why is it so low? Well, it's low because we have a mill, we have a tailings facility, and we're already underground touching the ore body. Over the life of the mine, it will generate $417 million of after-tax cash flow, and that's at $12.75 US per ounce and an 80-cent exchange rate. Results in an after-tax IRR of 47%. Those are fantastic numbers. We think there's potential to expand on that. Again, through expansion of satellite deposits, discovery through exploration, and looking at the timing of capital and mine planning opportunities. So here's the 2 satellite deposits that we put out in December. Russet South, you can see on the left side of this image. It is the up-dip expression, if you will, of a portion of the Madsen deposit called the 8 Zone. The 8 Zone is Madsen's version of the high-grade zone. There's about 325,000 ounces in resource in the 8 Zone at just under 20 grams per ton. We did something very simple several years ago. We projected it to surface, and we went and looked on the ground. We liked what we saw. We saw some folded geology. We did some geochemical sampling. We saw very weak anomalous alteration in the soils there. We saw some structures running through it, and we drilled it, and we had success. We now have a resource there, and it's open down plunge, and we intend to drill that further this year. To the south, we have the Fork Zone. The Fork Zone really is an extension of the Madsen mineral system, which stretches for 5 kilometers. This is a big system that sits within the Red Lake camp. And the Fork is an expression that it too is at surface, and it too is open for expansion. Both Russet South and Fork lie within 1.5 kilometers of our permitted milling infrastructure. These offer the mine scalability opportunities that I talked about. Expansion through the deposits at surface allow us to talk about extending the mine life, or importantly, looking at our throughput and saying, can we do something there to impact the economics of the project? Exploration is still a very important component of moving the project forward. We've got 2 new satellite deposits, we've got 11 drill-ready targets here, and we have a 47-kilometer land package in Red Lake, the 3rd largest land package in the camp. We feel that with further additional exploration work, we have the potential to expand the known satellite deposits and also to make new discoveries, which ultimately will impact the economics of the project. So we've come a long way over the last 3.5 years. We've got a very busy year planned here. We initiated a definitive feasibility study late last year. That work will go until Q3 of this year. With the right outcome, we'll announce a production decision, and we have an opportunity to move very quickly towards production. We have a bulk sample planned for Q2 of this year initiation. It'll be 7,200 tons. The ramp underground is very close to the initial stopes from our preliminary economic assessment. While we're permitted as a mine, we have to refresh those permits. That work started last year, and we anticipate we'll be in a position where we're fully permitted in 2019. On the exploration side, we have ongoing drilling from both surface and underground, and again, we see growth and scalability to come out of that exploration activity. And so that's a very, very quick introduction to Pure Gold and our Madsen Gold Project. We're extremely excited about how far we've taken the project. We've learned a lot. We've identified opportunities. We've seen success through drilling, through resource expansion, now through a preliminary economic assessment, and we continue to move this and de-risk it towards a production scenario. Thank you very much, and I'll hand it over to Liberty Gold.